From a teenager murdering a young girl because she wanted to know what it felt like, to a young man who took a shotgun to school and murdered some of his schoolmates, we take a look at the 5 most evil children in the world. Number 5. Jasmine Richardson. The most youthful individual ever to be convicted of multiple murders in Canada, Jasmine Richardson was 12 when she fiercely killed her parents and more youthful brother in Medicine Hat, Alberta. After the bodies were found on April 23, 2006, people feared that Jasmine, who was missing, may likewise have been a casualty. She was soon discovered fit as a fiddle, however, with her boyfriend Jeremy Allen Stanky, 23, of whom her parents did not approve. Stanky, who, similar to Jasmine, had an enthusiasm for goth culture, monsters, and vampires, was additionally accused of the homicides. On July 9, 2007, Jasmine was sentenced to 3 counts of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 10 years in jail, the maximum penalty for a kid under 14 under the Canadian Youth Criminal Justice Act. Number 4. Alyssa Bustamante. Elizabeth Olton was just 9 years of age in 2009 when she was mercilessly killed by Alyssa Bustamante, who was just 15. Bustamante, who seemed to be the typically overly dramatic, dark mascara-wearing emo adolescent that we see a lot of nowadays, was a lot sicker than people thought, and she was capable of far more evil than anyone imagined. The young lady had toyed with the thought of murdering her 2 younger siblings, and had even posted pictures with subtitles, praising the delights in watching them suffer as she played dangerous tricks on them. Olton, the young lady who Bustamante brutally murdered, was strolling home one day when she took a forest path nearby 2 unmarked graves that Bustamante had dug, likely for her 2 siblings. Bustamante slaughtered the young lady by strangling her, beating her, lastly slitting her throat. After admitting to the homicide, Bustamante said she did it on the grounds that she wanted to know what it felt like. Number 3. Evan Ramsey. On February 19, 1997, Evan Ramsey equipped himself with a Mossberg 500 12-gauge shotgun and landed at Bethel Regional High School by school bus. Ramsey approached the student commons area, waving the shotgun, and shot 15-year-old Josh Palacios in the stomach, a prompt lethal injury. He likewise shot and harmed 2 different understudies. Rain Athanas, an art teacher, entered the commons area after hearing the gunshots. Athanas said she attempted and failed to persuade Ramsey to surrender. He then entered the main lobby, where he shot Principal Ron Edwards twice, executing him. Ramsey then withdrew to the commons area, shooting once at police. Ramsey later put the shotgun barrel under his jaw and supposedly said, "I don't want to die," and laid the shotgun on the ground and surrendered without further incident. Number 2. Joshua Phillips. In 1998, 14-year-old Joshua Phillips pummeled his 8-year-old neighbor to death and hid her body underneath his bed. After 7 days, his mom saw something leaking from underneath the bed. Joshua said that he'd accidentally hit Maddie in the eye with his baseball bat, causing her to scream. In his panic, he dragged her to his home where he hit her again and then stabbed her 11 times. His story failed to persuade a Florida jury, who declared him guilty for first-degree murder. His mother is still appealing his conviction based upon the fact that he was given an adult penalty for his crime. Number 1. Jesse Pomeroy. Jesse Pomeroy was 14 when he was arrested in 1874 for the horrendous homicide of a 4-year-old boy. He was immediately marked the Boston Boy Fiend. His horrible trek had started 3 years before with the sexual torment of 7 different young boys. For those law violations, Pomeroy was sentenced to a children's reform school but was released early. Not long after, he ravaged and executed a 10-year-old girl who came into his mom's store. A month later, he grabbed 4-year-old Horace Mullen, took him to a marsh outside town and sliced him so viciously with a blade that he almost cut his head off. When he was shown the body and inquired as to whether he'd done it, he reacted with an unconcerned, "I suppose I did." Then the girl was found buried in his mother's cellar, and he confessed to that murder as well. He was convicted and sentenced to death. Following a public outcry against condemning children to death, his sentence was commuted to 40 years of solitary confinement.